All right, so this week we watched a movie, specifically because we had to rise up and show that the internet is wrong.
No. The internet is not wrong. You have a problem with one particular person because every article I read to research for this movie pretty much agreed that Heath Ledger is the best Joker.
Yes, because this person has a wrong opinion that needs to be fixed.
Okay. I'm Shay.
I'm Tyler.
And this is Cinematically Correct, and we are doing The Dark Knight. And currently, Tyler is a little perturbed that one of our loyal listeners, Matt Lewinsky, basically stated that Heath Ledger was, according to his list, the worst Joker, right?
The worst Joker. He put him last place.
Do you want to read his list? Do you want to?
Yes, it was the dumbest.
That's his list that he tweeted to us.
Cesar Romero, Mark Hamill, Jared Leto, and then Heath Ledger, which is astoundingly poor judgment.
Well, so ever since that has happened, that exchange has happened, other people have jumped into the conversation. Some people have agreed that Jack Nicholson is better than Heath Ledger, which, you know what, I'm not saying that's not possible.
I will concede that some people can have that opinion.
Well, I love Jack Nicholson's Joker. I did.
Disagree with it, but I can understand your point of view.
Absolutely. But I did like his Joker, and I think it's a matter of preference in that case, because he was exceptional as the Joker, especially in his time.
But he's third on that list.
Well, so what I'm saying is the interchangeable first between Ledger and Nicholson, I have no issues with. You do you. We all have our own opinions. I don't have a problem. But the thing that bothered me on his list was that Leto was before him. That I can't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't, that. So
my preference is Heath, Jack, then Caesar because he's the first one. I don't have a whole frame of reference for him, honestly, but I've seen him a couple times. He gets the third spot just for being
and
number
then Hamill because he's a voice actor, and then Leto.
For 20 years, yeah. Jared Leto's last place.
Now, so we did talk to Joe, the person who we did the Brooklyn
podcast with. And he's a huge DC fanboy.
Yes, and we generally disagree with him on all things ever. But he actually left us a message stating that Heath Ledger is the best Joker, and that's basically, nobody can disagree with that. That's ridiculous. But he did note that the reason that Leto played the Joker the way he did was because it was following comics. Now, I will say I am not super DC comic fangirl type thing, so I don't 100% know. So it was interesting to hear that it did follow the comics from somebody who is clearly a fanboy. I love you, Joe, but come on, you're a bit much.
Well, he's a self-proclaimed DC fanboy.
Well, right,
so
he is.
He's unapologetic about it.
Oh, he's a bit much. But so that made it interesting. But I guess as a matter of preference, almost. I didn't like that whole movie, to be honest.
Oh, that movie sucked.
I was trying to be,
It was terrible.
Okay, well, you're in fighting mode, so. But anyway, so.
Well, when we were doing the research for this movie, the overwhelming consensus is that Heath Ledger was the best Joker, just across the board.
Yes, that is very true.
He also won an Oscar.
Well, did he win an Oscar? I know he won 32 awards. He was the only one to win an Academy Award.
That's an Oscar. Academy Award and Oscar are the same.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he won 32 posthumously?
Posthumously.
I can't get words out of my mouth. So anyway, we should probably talk a little bit about the movie. Bit. I'm sure we're going to get back to Joker because he basically is the movie.
Right. And it was such a shame that he died shortly after this movie because I was hoping to have him in future Batman movies.
Like multiple.
Yes.
Like
right.
I would have watched everything that he was in.
The two primary villains in this, Joker and then also Two-Face, are wasted in this movie because they don't.
Well, and it's depressing that Two-Face died in the movie because they could have done more with him in future installments. Right. And I guess I read somewhere, I don't even remember where I read it now, that the fans were asking, is Two-Face going to be in the next movie, especially given that Heath Ledger has passed? Are we going to make, a more Two-Face-centered movie? And the response from the director was, of course not, he's dead. It was like...
Well, I guess I can see that, but at the same time, this is comic books. In comic books, the villains and the superheroes die regularly and then they come back.
Right, and I mean, he died by falling, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's an easy one to be like. It's not like he was shot in the face. Like he fell. So I mean, you can finagle that in the comic book world at least.
Well, I think it would be easily explainable. Anyway, I would like to go through a brief summary of the movie for the 4 people that have not seen this movie.
Go for it.
Because there's almost 0 people that have not seen this movie, right?
I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, please pause the podcast, go watch the movie, and then come back, because we're not going to make a lot of sense if you haven't seen it, because I'm pretty sure everyone's seen it, so we're going to be talking about mostly trivia in this.
Yeah. So, fantastic Joker opening scene where he's robbing a bank. You don't know it's the Joker to start off. They're all wearing clown masks.
So, the scene. You said that you didn't see the hair color difference.
I didn't.
But I'm telling you.
I didn't.
It was just normal, brown hair. And then it looked green when you finally knew it was him because he spoke. Is it just because I was hyper aware or what?
I think you're seeing things that weren't
You
there.
pointed out who he was before we even saw the voice. So why would I see a difference? I don't understand.
Because he was outside in the sun versus inside a bank?
No. Either way, that weirded me out.
So it was a nice homage to the original Joker in that scene as well, with the old school clown mask that is terrifying. Both myself and my co-host have a dislike for clowns.
Dislike? I have a terrifying, debilitating fear. I don't know what you mean by dislike.
Okay, well, so great homage to the original Joker by wearing the same mask, essentially. So they go about robbing the bank and then killing their bank robber partners.
Oh yeah, it was like the Joker said, once you finish this, then I get rid of you because less of a share to give or something like that.
Right, and if you're given those instructions, how is then not the next step, somebody has the instructions to do that to me?
Well, I mean, I think in their head, somebody has to be left. And there were people left. They didn't kill everyone.
One person. There was literally one person left.
Okay,
Joker.
Regardless. So they were probably thinking to themselves, someone has to be left, so maybe he chose me, maybe I'm the chosen one. And I don't know if it was this part in the movie, but I think it was a little bit later, they note that Joker picked people who had schizophrenia and other personality disorders who were really craving somebody to help them with their...
Almost like a binding element to bring all of the bad people together that have nowhere else to go, that are not part of a normal street gang or organized crime.
Yeah, and I mean, I would qualify that. I wouldn't say that it was necessarily all bad people. A lot of these people seem to be just doing everything they could to silence the voices. Like that guy in the jail cell said, he told me that it was going to be like Christmas. And I don't think necessarily these people were doing this to be evil, but really they were doing it because they were seeking salvation from whatever is going on in their heads. They were going crazy and they needed help.
Knowing the Joker, it's always gonna have that criminal insanity side to it. To me, I mean, that's just...
You think all the people that followed him did?
I would
look at Charles Manson. I mean, all of those people.
Right.
What? I bring him up all the time. I
every
can't
podcast,
help it.
every
I can't help it.
every podcast.
I have this. I don't know, but regardless. But look at that though. Those people. They thought they were doing something for a greater cause. I mean, the cause was crazy and it didn't make sense to a normal person, but in that time frame, in that mindset, they thought they were doing something that meant something. So I think these people really thought that they were doing something that was going to give them peace.
I mean, I guess, but it's still they're killing people and committing acts of terrorism and violence.
Didn't you watch the I Am the Killer show? Sometimes there are reasons that you just don't understand.
That's not the same as this. They're blowing up hospitals and ferries and all kinds of crazy stuff.
So ununderstanding.
Yeah. Anyway, so they rob the bank, which is a mob bank. Then Batman does some talking with the police about finding all the illegal money for the mob. We meet the money launderer at a convention of all of the mob bosses in Gotham. Mm-hmm. And then Joker has the only one of the funny scenes in this movie where he makes the pencil disappear.
Well, I mean, I don't... You call that funny? He killed somebody to make the pencil disappear.
Well, yeah, but it was done in a joking fashion. Like,
so you mean one of the only scenes where he actually did a joke?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So he wasn't... As the Joker, he didn't say very many jokes. Like, that's always been a part of Joker, is to, like, the off-color...
Yeah, that's true. He
funniness.
didn't really say a lot of jokes, but I think... I mean, he had the laugh down. Pat.
Nailed the laugh.
And he did do that clapping thing. In
The
the jail cell where he...
The sardonic clapping.
It almost looked like a seal or something going on.
Well, just making fun of you.
Yeah, so I mean, there were bits and pieces, but you're right. There wasn't a lot of jokes.
Or the interrogation scene where he's like, "Me? I was here the whole time."
Yeah, so I mean, there were a few things.
I mean, he was a more serious Joker than I remember seeing. Like, he laughed a couple times, but it was mostly just being serious in that the lip licking tick thing was weird.
Well, they gave a reason for that, but we'll...
Okay. So the money launderer takes all the money to Hong Kong. Batman goes to Hong Kong, brings him back.
I think this was the first Batman movie that left Gotham, if I read that correctly.
They did mention that in the trivia. So he goes to Hong Kong, comes back. Then Joker starts the whole Batman has to reveal himself from gonna kill people thing.
Right, and he did those, like, home-style, like, terrorist movies that Heath Ledger himself directed. And they said that after they, like, at first the director, like, oversaw him directing it, making sure that it was the vibe of the movie and what he wanted. And after the first one, he was like, you know what, you got it. Like, it's all set.
Yep, that's... So
which I found
the first
fun.
one that he did was the Batman interrogation. Not real Batman, the fake Batman interrogation.
The one that...
He died, yes.
The one, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing a noose motion,
around your head, but
that you guys can't see that. But yes, I could not get the word noose out of my mouth.
Which was fantastic. And then...
Oh, the noose was fantastic.
No, that clip was fantastically shot and just fit perfect.
Just poor choice of words, didn't jive. Just want to make sure you were not condoning nooses.
No, I would not condone a noose for any reason.
Okay, just want to make sure.
I mean, maybe with the exception of lynching Nazis, or
but not cannibals.
Just criminals in general. Depending on what they've done, I mean, some people should be put to death.
You are a ping pong ball, but we will get into that another time.
So goes through the whole thing, blows up Harvey Dent and Rachel Dawes. And
wow, you jumped. But
okay,
yes, okay,
what else would you put in there?
So basically, Joker gets picked up by the cops purposely. He plans to get picked up by the cops so that he can be in a jail cell and people can set up the bombs to blow up Harvey Dent and Rachel. Batman basically attacks the heck out of him to get information out of him. He finds out that he gets the addresses of where they are. Joker being Joker switched the addresses, so when Batman intended to go grab Rachel, he ended up grabbing Harvey Dent, and Rachel ended up dying on the phone, which to me is really interesting because later in the movie, the Joker does the same thing with switching things, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But I just wanted to bring that up because it's important.
That's fair. I almost forgot the interview scene because apparently Heath Ledger actually asked Christian Bale to actually hit him.
He said, hit me as hard as Joker would hit Batman would hit Joker.
That's
like, what?
Kind of dumb.
But I mean, and I also read that he didn't method act. They said that he didn't live as the Joker. He didn't method act because I've read that a lot. He did. So I'm not really sure which way it went. I know that he secluded himself into a hotel for 6 months and he...
Well, I think the method acting thing is people
about.
Trying to rationalize and understand him passing after this, right after this movie, where he just got too into the character and that he went into a rabbit hole in a bad direction. And
so according to his family, that's not true.
Well, right. So that's a popular theory, which I don't know if that is actually what happened, because multiple sources say that he had other issues that were leading up to this.
Okay, so because he died and because that's a big thing, I want to just make sure that we are sensitive to the fact that we don't know all the facts, but from what I've seen, what seems to be the most true, and of course I don't know because I don't know him personally, but what seems to be the most true is that he actually loved playing this part and he had a lot of fun with it, so this part did not affect him that way. However, he had insomnia and he had a tendency to mix his sleeping pills with other medications, and apparently the night before he passed, his sister had warned him of that, to not do so, and they think that's what he did. So I don't want us to come off as saying that he was a drug user or that he was crazy or any of that. It's
entirely understandable, albeit tragic, that he passed away through...
Insomnia makes sense. That is not a mental illness or anything to look down on. That makes sense, especially given, I'm sure, the shooting schedules that he has on all of his in all of his career, not just shooting the Joker. Right. So I just want to be sensitive to that because we should not be throwing around things like he had problems or he had this because we just don't know.
I would like to throw in a couple historical things.
Of course you would.
We're going back to the start of the movie.
I mean, somebody did say they do like Tyler's history trivia, so here you go. This is for you. So
when they're in the court scene for the mob boss, and the guy pulls the gun and tries to shoot Harvey Dent at the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
It was very similar to a thing that actually happened to Andrew Jackson. Terrible president, terrible person, but a person tried to shoot him twice. Both guns malfunctioned, and then he proceeded to beat the hell out of him with a cane.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we've had lovely presidents in the past.
Oh, he was a horrible president. He's in the top 5 worst presidents.
Okay, but he's not number 1.
Well, the current president might be number 1. It's a debate. There's several really terrible presidents.
I'm not going to get into the debate.
That's not the podcast. That's not the podcast. It's not a history podcast. But that's just.
Any other trivia facts before you get into a discussion I don't want to hear?
No. The only other thing that is history adjacent, when Harvey Dent is giving the speech about not turning over the Batman, I have always been reminded of the Ben Franklin quote: "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety."
Nobody heard that.
Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety.
All right, well, sorry if you guys can't hear that. He is saying it while looking at a piece of paper away from the microphone, and I can't get him to fix it. So there you go. But you guys can look it up, though, if you heard any of the words. It's a Ben Franklin quote.
Liberty, safety, Ben Franklin. It's a quote that just reminds me of this movie. So I'm going to turn things over. What do you want to talk about now? We've gone off the rails a bit.
A bit. Well, yeah, we've gone off the rails quite a bit. I mean, for this one, it's hard for me, but one person we didn't bring up in this movie at all was the mayor.
Okay.
So he's an actor from Bates Motel that I've been in love with ever since Bates Motel. He's just...
Never seen Bates Motel.
I just don't know why we're together. But anyways.
Wow.
So my thing is, comparing him with Harvey Dent, who eventually does turn...
evil. Turns into Two-Face. He's a villain.
Well, I know, but it's so hard because I understand in this situation. Although this is not the normal Two-Face story.
Way far over the...
Okay. It's not the normal Two-Face story, but this one is more sympathetic, at least to me. But regardless, the mayor, to me, actually seemed a little bit more, easily corruptible.
Right.
And I'm almost curious as to why they chose Harvey Dent. Is it just because he was more, well, he couldn't have been more popular. He was a DA as opposed to a mayor. So, why do you think the Joker would have chosen Two-Face rather than the mayor, other than just following comic books, who the villains are?
Well, I think Harvey was the poster child for the new Gotham. So he was the one that was actively putting people in prison.
He was going to save Gotham.
And he was going to clean the streets himself personally, at any cost.
I guess that's fair. I just felt like the mayor seemed like he was already kind of falling down that corruptible path.
Yeah. I also do want to talk about how I really dislike when they change actors in movies, in series.
Okay.
Or TV shows, whatever. Where there's the same character, in several movies, and they change the actors or actresses. It just bothers me.
Would you like to share what you're talking about?
Well, in this particular instance, it's Jack Gleason as the little boy, and then Maggie Gyllenhaal as Rachel Dawes rather than Katie Holmes from the original.
Right, but they did that out of necessity, not out of want.
I know. It's just it's a pet peeve.
So you liked Katie Holmes better, or did you just like the
I like the continuity. I don't really have a preference for either performance. I mean, they were both fine ancillary characters.
I mean, I believe at the time Maggie Gyllenhaal was not popular.
No.
So
I've never understood why she's popular in the first place, other than being related to Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, well, that's harsh. I mean,
I don't know. I don't think I've seen a movie other than this one that I've.
So my guess is you just don't find her attractive, is what it comes down to.
That plays into it, I'm sure.
Because that's all you care about.
That's not all I care about.
She's a fine actress. There's nothing wrong with her.
There's nothing wrong with it. I just
so she's not attractive enough.
There are other fine actresses that.
Yeah, exactly. Fine actresses.
God damn it!
What? I just know that plays into it. I know it does.
It does factor into that.
A more attractive girl who plays a part exactly the same way you would say you liked.
Maybe.
Yeah, you would.
Not if they change it, though. I don't care.
They didn't choose to change it. Katie Holmes declined the role because she was in something else. What are you going to do?
I understand.
So what would you prefer they do? Cut her out?
I don't know.
They can't cut her out.
They could put someone else in there. Like a different...
A different what?
A different person.
Like not Rachel Dawes?
Like in Spider-Man, they go from Mary Jane to Gwen Stacy.
Okay.
So why couldn't they just come up with a different character?
But aren't those two characters actually in the comics, even though they're different people?
Yes, they are.
Okay. But so is there another person in Batman comics that they could interchange?
I'm sure there has to be another female character in Batman somewhere. I mean, there are a lot of females in There's Poison Ivy, she's a villain. Catwoman.
So DC comic addicts, let us know if there is a person in the DC Comics universe that they could have interchanged Rachel Dawes with.
I don't like the changeover. It's a jarring change.
I don't know. You're a difficult person.
That's not difficult. It's my personal preference.
Okay, so I want to know if there is a person that they could have changed it with, or if Tyler is just being so unbelievably picky that now I have to live with this the rest of my life.
Well, you've already said yes, so. I don't know what else to say.
Well, okay, so one of the things I wanted to mention is the PR campaigns that they did for this movie.
Okay.
Now, originally, all of the PR campaigns were all Joker focused, and they had to kind of switch that after death, but I believe some of them must have gone out prior to the release of the movie and prior to his death, because one of the ones I found the most interesting was the cake. So they sent cakes with...
A bomb threat cake?
Yes, it was basically a bomb threat cake. So there were cakes with, like, phones in it, and the cake vibrated. And one particular news station believed it was a terrorist attack and called 911. It became this whole thing. Now, there's been a lot of movies that have PR campaigns that kind of go awry. The other bomb one I think of is Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie, where the bomb thing happened in Boston. That's just near us, so, you know. But I find that's so... It's so funny that they would do that for the Joker movie. I don't know all of what the PR campaigns were. There was other ones, too, where, like, someone got kidnapped and they showed, like, pictures of, like, the Joker being killed.
Supposedly dead, but he was a fan of the...
Right. Yeah. It was, like, this whole thing. So, I mean, elaborate. I'll give you that. So, I don't know what the PR campaigns ended up being after the release, because I know they said they switched them to not be so Joker-focused because they wanted to be sensitive. But, I mean... This is one of the few movies I've seen that type of PR campaigns. Yeah. So, I mean, I would have loved to be a news station and see what those things looked like in person. I'd also probably have peed my pants, but that's fine.
Well, yeah, fair. This is more Batman related rather than movie related, but how does no one automatically just know that it's Bruce Wayne, the billionaire that had murdered parents?
I mean, I guess you just never assume that the billionaire cares that much. Because, I mean, you usually assume that billionaires are heartless, like, selfish people.
Yes, but he's driving a personal plane and Batmobile around the city. That stuff doesn't grow on trees. Like,
I don't know. I think in my head, anyways, I always think of superheroes as, like, they don't follow our laws of money and all of this stuff. So I don't know if I would be like, oh, you must be rich to have, like, this fancy thing. I would just think you're a superhero. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I would imagine that those things cost a stupid amount of money.
But do you equate, like, I understand that superheroes are usually people with enhanced suits or enhanced whatever, but, like, I don't really equate them as human in that way. Like, I feel like they have these special privileges and so they get these special things.
Most of them have superpowers. Bruce Wayne's superpower is being super rich and a master of martial arts and
not all,
a genius
like
at
Iron
intellect. Well, right, he's basically the same as Tony Stark, essentially. Like, he's a rich guy with lots of money.
Spider-Man? Pretty similar. I mean, yeah, he has, like, the whatever because he got bit by a spider.
No, Spider-Man is different because he has powers. Tony Stark and
his
Batman
suit gives him
have
way more
no
powers
superpowers.
than he has.
No, it's his powers that also he's wearing a suit.
Okay, do you? We do have to do audience ask because we have 4 of them today because we missed last week, so we didn't miss this week.
Somebody missed last week.
You know, it gets hard to keep up. But anyways, so Gidget Von LaRue asked, as a woman, I can ask this, was Maggie Gyllenhaal too plain to be so adored by so many men in this movie? I figured you would want to answer that question since you've just had a rant about Maggie Gyllenhaal.
I mean, I don't find her particularly attractive. I'm sure she's a lovely person, but I don't know. I see her in the movie and I just it fades into the background. I don't know.
So, guys, if there's a Maggie Gyllenhaal movie that you think I need to force him to watch to make him like her, please leave that in the comment of whatever post you're reading to get this podcast. Because I want to make him like her. Because I like Maggie Gyllenhaal. She's not my favorite actress or anything like that. But I think she's a good actress. And I think she's cute. Like, I don't know why we're being so snobby over here. But anyways... Nerd Adonis asked, after being in a decade-long love affair with TDK, do you all believe The Winter Soldier and Logan come anywhere close to the level of detail and awesomeness as this movie? Many want to say they're right along with it, but do you feel the same way?
I mean, Logan more so than Winter Soldier.
Explain. You can't just say that.
Well, so I loved Logan.
Really?
I did. I very much enjoyed it.
I thought it was such a sappy movie.
The sappy movie with his clone daughter.
It was so sappy. Like, I liked it, but it was like I didn't want to cry at a superhero movie. Like,
well, that was an interesting component to it. It was also an R-rated superhero movie, which I liked. I mean, there's a lot of visceral head chopping off and other cool stabbing.
Anyways, you're not answering the question.
I wasn't particularly a fan of Winter Soldier. It was okay, but it was not my favorite superhero movie.
I don't think that's answering the question. He wants to know, does it come to the close to the level of detail and awesomeness?
I think this movie was better than those two for detail. I mean, Logan was pretty true to the Old Man Logan arc, except for the Hulk not being in it, really. Mm-hmm. But I think this one is just my favorite of those 3.
So I think what he's saying is this one is more detailed than the others.
Yes.
I will say acting-wise, because of the Joker and like just all the little things that he did added so much dimension that I don't think the other movies really had. I mean, Winter Soldier, to be completely honest, I understood why it was there, but it's kind of like a flyover movie for me. It wasn't something that I would go back and watch a million times, so I don't know that detail I would say was off the charts there. Logan, I will say that they really did pay attention to all of the different aspects of that story, and they did a really good job. I just particularly wasn't a super fan of the movie because I didn't really understand why we had this terribly sad superhero movie.
You hear that, internet? Crucify her.
Oh my god. I didn't say I hated the movie. I watched it. I liked it. I even went to the theater to see it, which you know I don't do. But
fair.
I mean, you know who's in it. Just saying. But it just
All right, you get on my case for judging people by their appearance. Really?
I was giving him props. I was not taking away.
All right.
Anyways, okay, so another question was, would the sequel, The Dark Knight Rises, have been any different if Heath Ledger was alive for its production? How and why?
I do think it would have been different. I think they would have put him back in the movie because he was fantastic as Joker.
I think they would have probably made like 3 movies about this whole...
Having that dynamic together, Christian Bale and Heath Ledger would have been a great combination for Batman.
Yeah, now I will say though, I found it strange that Christian Bale almost paled in comparison to Ledger, and that's... I can't, like, that feels like I want to choke saying something like that, because Christian Bale is amazing. Like, he is incredible, and with anybody else, he would have been, the breakout star of the movie, but
right.
With Ledger there, it was like, almost like, it didn't really matter what he did, because all I wanted to see was another Joker scene.
Right.
So, that's amazing to me, because
Christian
I
Bale
haven't seen Christian Bale
Batman.
in any terrible movie, have you?
No, he throws himself into him.
He's a method actor.
Yeah.
Like, there's like, what is it, The Machinist or something that I'm dying to see because of like the whole...
He goes down to like 80 pounds or something stupid.
I haven't seen it, but I've read a lot. And then... Oh, was the Joker... sorry, I didn't even mention who asked that question. So that was asked by Christopher R. Myers. And then this last one is asked by Fame Black. Was the Joker a military man or a spy?
I don't know. I mean, he had to have picked up skills somewhere, I'm sure, but that's the uncertainty of Joker. There's no definitive answer. There's no answer that it's one answer in the canon, to my knowledge. I mean, there's several attempts at explaining it, but there's no clear-cut answer.
Right.
I mean, I could be wrong, but...
The internet really seems to think it's mirroring a lot of terrorist stuff that was happening back then. Well, not that was happening, but like that was becoming more well-known. And
right.
So a lot of people were saying that it was kind of a mock on that, which makes a lot of sense, just the way he was gathering people and things like that.
Right.
We are running out of time, but I did, because we were talking about this right before the podcast... Do you want to mention Skyhook? Because we looked it up, we had this whole thing about it, and then we never mentioned it.
Yes, the Skyhook scene, apparently it's real. You thought it was... Urban Dictionary said it was fake.
Okay, so let me just give a quick thing on that. IMDb said that Skyhook was the only Batman technology that's actually real. So I got excited, I wrote it down, and I'm like, oh, great, I'm going to look it up. And then I look it up, and the first thing that pops up, if you guys want to Google it, you can do this. The first thing that pops up is Urban Dictionary, and it says Skyhook was something in the 70s that soldiers said to rookie soldiers to, like, basically make fun of them. It's like when you're in high school and they tell you the pool's on the 5th floor. It's like that type of situation. So then I really thought that there was a really awesome troll who put this piece of trivia into IMDb trivia to get you to go look for the thing that doesn't exist like they do with the Skyhook. Apparently that's not true. Well, but it would have been much cooler.
And there was something called the Surface-to-Air System. STARS is the abbreviation. So
Surface-to-Air Systems. He's doing it again, reading a paper far away from the...
Surface-to-Air System. And it, so far as I can see, was developed by the CIA. I don't know if it's true.
It's like a Robert Fulton was the inventor or something close to that?
Fulton or something?
Yeah.
I mean, they did it in a different movie in James Bond.
Right. So it seems like it could be true. So if you guys know anything about this, we found conflicting information, but I'm super curious to know if it's actually true and if people have used it and it's worked. Like, I'm just...
All right, and to be fair, the NSA doesn't have sonar in every person's cell phone, but they are listening.
Oh, he's talking about the big thing in the Bond cave, Batman cave, that Morgan Freeman is looking at and says, I don't want to use this, and that whole thing. So...
But that... They do listen to everything at all times.
Yeah, and we have an Alexa, so we can't really even say anything.
Well, right.
We're fueling the problem.
There is a wiretap in the house that we paid for.
But we also have cell phones, so it's a moot point. Well, and it's a moot point, not a mute point. Just want to let you know. Moot point.
Autocorrect.
Sure, Joey. Anyway, so I think we really do need to wrap it up because it's at 34 minutes. But is there anything quick you want to add before I wrap this up?
The white eyes at the end of the movie were done intentionally. Remember how we were talking about why doesn't he just use regular eyes to fight the Joker?
You were talking about with yourself, yes.
Yes. Well, so And now that I looked this up, it makes sense. It was to reflect or emulate the comic books where Batman is often just all black and then the white eyes to give him some kind of shape.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Also, there's a place in Turkey called, or named Batman, but it's pronounced Batman.
Oh, that sued Warner Brothers for copyright infringement?
Because their name is Batman, and...
I just don't understand how they can do that, because do they sue every time a Batman movie comes out, or a Batman comic book? Like, I mean...
I don't have an answer.
I forgot about that, because I wrote that down. That stuff's always interesting to me, when people think they can make money off of box office hits.
Yeah. The Italian dubbing of the Joker for this movie was done by the person who dubbed Jack Nicholson in the original, his son.
Right.
Which I thought was nice.
Oh,
so.
And the final thing that we do need to mention, and now I just lost it because you kept talking. Crap.
What are we mentioning?
I lost it.
Don't know.
Kept talking.
Okay.
Oh well, it's gone.
What would you rate this movie?
Probably a 9.5, 10. I mean, it's up there.
I would say 9.5.
Okay, so next week's movie is going to be Jobs with Ashton Kutcher, which was my pick. Really, there's no honest reason for this movie. It's been on my list forever, and I want to see it, and we have not done an Ashton Kutcher movie that I can think of.
First Morgan Freeman.
Yes, this was the
first.
first.
Although I don't know if this technically counts, because he was just in it to be in it. Because he was shooting like 6 movies in Chicago. And
it does count. Oh, and I remembered what I wanted to say before we end this, which is now disorganized, and I'm sorry. But we wanted to know if this was the highest grossing Batman film because of the whole drama with Matt Lewinsky. It is not. It was at the time that it came out that it was the highest grossing Batman film, so I don't know.
Third Batman beat it.
The Batman vs. Superman is number 1.
Batman vs. Superman.
Right. So, but at the time that it came out, it was the highest grossing Batman film, so I feel like that does add to the fact that he is the best Joker. I'm just saying.
Also has the most nominations for Academy Awards for a comic book movie.
Yes.
8. So,
yes. So, you guys decide who won this argument. Matt, if you want to respond, we love when you talk to us about these things. And
except when you're wrong.
Yes. So, let's hope that there's no other opinions you guys clash on, because we'll have to do a podcast episode devoted to it, apparently. So, anyways, next week, Jobs with Ashton Kutcher. That's about it. So, I want to say thanks to Jake at This Music for our intro and outro music, and I am looking forward to next week.